All right, everybody, as promised, I am back with a brand new DC update. And just on a quick side note, how does my balding look? So many people are concerned about me balding on my channel and in my comments on X that, man, my balding is so bad that I have to get a haircut like every 4 weeks. And it's just about time for a haircut. You know, I've been wearing a hat in my last couple of videos, and I usually have to do that when my hair gets too long. So I just had to throw that in there because I laugh. And I also laugh when people say I'm 60 years old. I'm nowhere near 60. So I have to laugh at all of that stuff. Just the stupid trolls who like to come around. All right, now, yesterday's video was a whopper of one. Just some stupidity coming out of Warner Brothers. If you guys haven't checked out yesterday's video, you want to check that out. We've got some more stupidity coming from James Gunn today, and lots of stuff to talk about. So we're going to have to jump in here because there's a lot that I have to cover. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I wanted to point out today, and before I get into this, if you guys like the video, please take time to hit the like button and think about subscribing to my channel. I continue to bring DC news all the time on my channel, and I appreciate all the support. I am a review channel, and I'm going to get into some more review stuff as well, but I'm going to continue to bring all the DC goodness as well. And if you guys like what you see, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified as I have new videos go up. Now, the first thing, a lot of people pointed me towards this. And this comes from the Rolling Stone interview, and I would recommend people go read it. It's a lengthy one. But James Gunn says he's not interested in a funny, campy Batman. Now, I would say this contradicts some of the stuff that he has posted online. And I have posted some of this stuff in my videos. I do not believe this until I actually see it. Now, James Gunn also made a comment about Batman that I do not agree with, and we're going to see that later in today's video because this isn't the only thing he had to say about Batman. So James Gunn talked a little bit about changing, Supergirl and Superman from Superman Legacy to just Superman and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow just to Supergirl. This also comes from Rolling Stone. James Gunn, this is regarding scrapping the Legacy subtitle for Superman. He goes, even though I was the one that gave it that title, I just wasn't sure. First of all, I'm sick of the superhero title, other name thing. And then also it seemed to be looking back when we're looking forward, even though it does have to do with Legacy in the movie itself. And everybody was like, oh yeah, no, change it. No, I can tell you the real reason they changed it. And if you're a marketing expert, you will appreciate this. They did it for the engagement. I told you, if they go with Superman, anytime anybody hashtags Superman on X or elsewhere, you get the Superman logo that shows up with it for the film. And so they're getting it they want it for the notoriety and for the clicks to claim that it had X amount of engagement when people may be talking about other stuff entirely. That's the real reason they did it. So here was the other thing that James Gunn talked about. I have another slide here where he has the direct quote about Batman himself. But it says, DCU Wonder Woman updates from James Gunn. A script is being written for Wonder Woman. And she is incredibly important to DC and the DCU. And that she is easier to figure out than Batman because there haven't been so many films. That's not the problem. It's not the problem that there are so many films because these characters are who these characters are. Why would he feel so threatened about Batman? But I think I have another photo. If I don't, I will trail back to this at the end of the video. Also in that Rolling Stone interview, James Gunn confirmed how Superman starts. The beginning of the movie is the first thing I wrote, with Krypto coming to Superman in the snow and Krypto taking him home. And so what people are assuming that this is going to be a flashback type of thing, where at the beginning of the film, we're going to see this beat and battered Superman who has to be healed, and then we're going to flash back to what got us there. And that's exactly something that Our Movie News was talking about in one of his videos. And I think that's safe to say that that is going to happen because they have to explain what happened to him to get him into this kind of shape to begin with. And so I think that's going to lead up to the finale of the film as well. And it's just the way writing works. So here was the quote I wanted to talk about, mainly in this video. And there's other stuff I need to talk about, but this was the one. As a Batman fan, and those who have been following me know that I am a massive Batman fan. He's my favorite DC character by far. I own thousands upon thousands of Batman comics. And this is what James Gunn had to say about Batman. James Gunn says Batman is my biggest issue in all of DC right now. Batman has to have a reason for existing, right? So Batman can't just be, oh, we're making a Batman movie because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Brothers, which he is. But because there's need for him in the DCU, and a need that he's not exactly the same as Matt Reeves' Batman, but yet he's not a campy Batman. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman, really. So we're dealing with that, he told Rolling Stone. I love how he said we're dealing with that. Because James Gunn wants to go campy and goofy. It's what he does in everything that he does. And he's struggling with this because he doesn't know how to write seriously. He doesn't know how to deal with a character like this. He said every single Batman story has been told. No, it has not. It seems like half the comics that have come out over DC over the 30 years have Batman in them. He's the most famous superhero in the world and the most popular superhero in the world. Actually, I'm told by people around the world that is actually Superman. And remember, he's not looking for Superman to be a hit. He just wants a double. Just keep that in mind when talking about James Gunn. And he goes on to say, and people love him because he's interesting, but also having so much of him out there can also make him boring. So how do you create that property that's fun to watch? Well, guys, we had it with the DCEU. I will tell you as a Batman fan who's been reading Batman for 40 plus years that Ben Affleck as Batman was the closest we've ever gotten to the comic books. He wasn't grounded entirely. He also wasn't truly fantastical either. And what's crazy about that is the only aspect of that people can even complain about, and I can understand their complaint, was that he killed people. But he didn't do it because they, just to do it. He did it in situations where it was okay to fight back, like in the warehouse or when he was chasing them in the car, in the Batmobile, which those scenes are just absolutely amazing. We're never going to see something like that in film again because of the direction of the DCU. We're never going to see greatness like that ever again, at least probably not in my lifetime. And he obviously doesn't understand Batman. It's not hard to make a good Batman film. The problem is he doesn't want to work within the constraints of what Batman is. It's not his type of thing. You can make it fun to watch. We had it. Ben Affleck was pulled directly from the comics. Like when I read Hush and I read The Last Halloween or Year One and Year Two, that's who I hear, that's who I see now. Well, when I'm reading, I hear Kevin Conroy from Batman the Animated Series and all the movies and games that have come out. But I envision, what we had with Ben Affleck was freaking amazing. And he apparently wrote the best Batman story that everybody has ever read for film, but they decided to scrap it and make the Batman instead. So that script is still out there. And I hope one day we actually get to see it. This is the head of DC Studios, people. This is not good news. He obviously does not know what he is doing with this brand. Batman, I would say, out of all of the characters, is the easiest to write, without question. Now, I laughed when I saw this, and I posted about this on X. And I said, so she's admitting she made a horrible Superman film, or that Superman is going to be horrible. Superman star Rachel Brosnahan says actors should stand by their bad superhero movies. She says, I don't know why people say yes, only to then turn around and complain about it. Do it or don't do it, and then stand by it. It'd be nice if the studios had that mentality as well. But she should really be talking about the studios, not the actors. But did she just secretly admit that they made a bad Superman film? We'll find out. So James Gunn says, after a long and incredibly exhaustive search, we have finally found our DCU Clayface in Tom Reese-Harries. Both Matt Reeves and I were just blown away by this guy and can't wait for you to see this film. Directed by James Watkins and written by Mike Flanagan. And here's a picture of him right here. This is the guy who will be playing. I'm not familiar with this guy at all, but it looks like he is going to be playing the role of Clayface in the Clayface film. How they're doing this before you even have Batman is just mind-boggling. But again, it's DC Studios, people. There is no plan. This had a lot of people online saying, oh, look, the writer of Man of Steel was okay with this. David S. Goyer, I think, is who wrote it. The writer of Man of Steel is excited to see Superman. I love the trailers. It's not Man of Steel at all. When Crypto shows up, I've just got a big grin on my face. That comes from Josh Horowitz, by the way. And what's funny about this is I have to laugh when I say this and point this out. He's making it very clear it's not Man of Steel. That this is a whole different version of Superman. And then he had a big grin on his face when Crypto showed up. And the reason he probably grinned is because he's like, they're not touching our film. That's more of what I see in this than him honestly being excited to see it. Also, Tom Taylor posted this, that there is something coming from DC, some announcement this week. And he's on the comic side of this, and I haven't seen anything yet. But we'll see if something comes. If it does, stick to my channel. I will be talking about it. Now, this was something I posted on X too as a joke. It says, Kevin Feige is reportedly leaving the MCU after the next Avengers movie. And what I said is great. He's going to be moving over to DC Studios next, because that's what happens to the people who leave the MCU. DC Studios likes to take the rejects from over there and bring it over to DC, which, again, not a good idea. Also, Sony is rumored to be considering Warner Brothers Discovery streaming and studio acquisition. So the vultures are circling. And I've told everybody for the last several years that in the end, I do expect Warner Brothers to be sold off. I absolutely do. I don't see how Warner Brothers can be run in its current iteration because of how bad the stocks are, and things are not getting any better. So I do expect they will be acquired by somebody in the near future. And Zaslav has always said that was the case, and they were talking to buyers before he even took over. Now, this is something I want to talk about. One thing I don't talk about enough on my channel is that I am a gamer. I built a really nice gaming PC last year. I love my Steam Deck. I've been trying to acquire a Switch 2 with no luck. But it says here, and I want to talk about my feelings on this. It says Xbox is rumored to be in talks with Warner Brothers to acquire all gaming IP. Xbox P3 private jet has just been seen at LAX in Los Angeles, leading analysts to believe a deal is close. Guys, this is not good. And I'm going to tell you why it's not good. There are a lot of amazing games out there. Amazing games. And here's what Microsoft does when they acquire gaming IPs. They bury them. My all-time favorite arcade game, and I own a stand-up, well, it's not a stand-up, it's a sit-down one. I own the actual arcade for Hydro Thunder. I loved Hydro Thunder. My wife took me there to the arcade. I hadn't been to the arcade in years when, shortly after we were married and we had just had one of our kids, and she took me to the arcade, actually to Castles and Coasters in Phoenix, for my birthday. And I played Hydro Thunder. This is back in '99. And I fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with it. And I own it now. Warner Brothers acquired that and buried it. They made one Hydro Thunder game for the Xbox, which was nothing like the one at the arcade. You can call it's not even a spiritual successor. It's a completely different type of game. It's still fun, but it's definitely not like the arcade game. There was a game released like it called H2 Overdrive, made by the people who actually created Hydro Thunder. That game is amazing. Okay, that's done by Raw Thrills. Also, one of my favorite old games from the Nintendo 64 was Diddy Kong Racing. when Microsoft acquired Rare, that game has been buried. They did come out with a version of it on the 3DS, which is a lot of fun as well. But that property has now been buried. It's buried. They take it and bury it. The last thing I want to see happen is them acquire all the gaming IP, for Warner Brothers. And this doesn't just include DC stuff. This would include also Harry Potter and all the other stuff. They do not do these IPs justice. And I would be very upset if I saw, we got ports of the three films or the three games that they made for what's it called? Why can't I? It's the Batman games with you had Arkham Asylum, The Dark Knight. I forget the second one, what the second one was called, and the third one. But I own all these games, and I've played them multiple times. I just played them all last year on the Steam Deck, which was freaking awesome to play them handheld. It's just amazing where technology has come. But these were all ported over to the Switch as well. If this ends up happening, all that stuff is going to be buried for future releases. Like, it's going to end. So whatever you own on some of these IPs, keep them. Keep those consoles. Because I guarantee you, if Microsoft gets it, that's it. Game over. So this is pretty cool. Jorge Jimenez, who is going to be doing Batman here starting in September, he said, so this is the final look at our main Batman #1 cover, and it was really fun to design the corner box too. I think it adds a cool point with a classic touch. Hope you like it, friends. Yay. The party starts in September. I'm very excited about that. Matt Fraction rules. So let's take a closer look at these. That is a pretty dang cool cover. And so they're starting over with Batman. You can see there's a new logo. We'll see how this ends up. This is kind of some retro colors, and we're going to see that with the next photo. So here's a photo, well, not a photo, obviously, a drawing of what the suit is going to look like. So this is going back a ways, not the bat symbol, but the suit itself. And I think it is time to finally get rid of the freaking underwear. I think it's time. My wife and I were at Target today, and I was showing her some of the toys, and she agrees that the suit just looks ridiculous because what ended up happening is, and you'll see this in one of the photos I have at the end. I'll talk about that at the end when I get to it. Also, James Gunn let it be known that notorious flying scene from Superman that was in this TV spot is not actually going to be in the movie. The one that everybody made fun of, the lazy eye. I thought it was a pretty cool shot, actually. But they're not even going to have that in the film. They're not even going to use it. So stuff got cut from the film. And why that got cut, who knows why. Now, this is to be expected. This movie is already over-bloated, but James Gunn, when asked if there are other characters not previously announced who will appear in Superman, he simply said yes. So we already know Supergirl is going to be in it, and there's probably going to be some other characters as well. This is not just a Superman film. It's more like a Super Friends film. All right, now I talked a little bit about this scene with Lois and Clark. There was this interview scene that was leaked that was like 20 or 25 seconds long where she is berating Clark. But he's acting as Superman. And this person, Brought Cat, who in my comments made this the other day, and I told him I was going to share this because this is exactly how I feel about this. That Lois Lane and Clark interview scene in the apartment has confirmed my most pressing fear with the film. Lois Lane is the stunning, brave career woman, a.k.a. the girl boss, while mocking and belittling Clark and his actions. In Man of Steel and the OG Superman movies with Reeves, Lois never made any disparaging remarks towards Superman or made him feel insignificant. Or Seven, it was always about her getting to know Clark's Superman in terms of who he is and where he comes from, as well as getting to the bottom of the story, truth prevailing over ideology. With Gunn, he's going in the exact opposite direction. It felt like Guardians of the Galaxy dialogue. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Something Gamora would proclaim to Star-Lord. Exactly. It's essentially a Marvel film, but with DC characters. This is Justice League all over again. It's not Lois and Clark, some perverted version of them. 100%. I totally agree with this comment. It shows you how James Gunn is a one-trick pony. Now, this also made waves yesterday, and this comes from the Entertainment Weekly. James Gunn says they have a big secret project at DC. They've kept it under wraps to stop other studios from copying it. What do you guys think that could possibly be? I have no idea at this stage. I do know that James Gunn is writing what I think is going to be either a Trinity film or more than likely it is going to be a World's Finest film. Outside of that, I have no idea what this would be. James Gunn on Matthias Schoenaerts as Krem in Supergirl. Dude, wait until you see how scary he is in the movie. Craig Gillespie has amped that character up so he's scary and creepy. It's so cool. Now, I have not read this story. I do plan on reading it before the movie comes out, but it'll be interesting to see who he is going to be portraying. But I'm betting that this is going to end up being better than Superman. All right, guys, so here are some of the photos I wanted to show you. I was at Target today. Everywhere I went for Superman, it was jam-packed except for some of the McFarlane figures. And I actually found, which I'm surprised because I ordered it directly from McFarlane, was the, DCEU Alfred figure. And they had them at my Target, but I haven't received it from McFarlane yet. Like, I have no idea where it's at. I almost wanted to grab one in case I didn't get it, but I did not. But you can see this is jam-packed from front to back for the Superman stuff. Here's another photo. It's jam-packed from the front to the back with the Superman actually on the shelf here. And then they had an end cap. And I don't know how many McFarlane figures they got, but you can see all they have are 3 Metamorphos down there. And there was a Superman New 52. I almost purchased that because that is an awesome suit. That is the suit that they should be using today. And it didn't have the red trunks on it. And my wife was looking at, I actually picked it up, and she was looking at, and I was showing her how the new Superman suit is the New 52 design, but it's looser, and they changed the symbol and also gave him red trunks. And she was looking at the red trunks in this multi-pack, and she's like, yeah, the red trunks look stupid. So she even agrees. So this was jam-packed as well on the end cap and on the side as well. Like, these toys just are not selling. And I told you, I'm in a very busy area. And these just, the toys are not selling. People just, the hype for this film is not what everyone claimed it was going to be. All right, guys, so there you have it. Another monster size update. If you like what you heard and saw here today, please take a minute to subscribe, like the video, and then come back as often as you want. I almost do daily videos as almost said Marvel. It's the end of the week. All the DC stuff ends up getting released. And I actually got something in the mail today that I'm excited to talk about in my channel, something more positive. I will be doing that in an upcoming video so you guys can see what that is. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. At any rate, I do appreciate all of the support. We will see you guys on the next video.